is colored, and it's going to be fresh.
It's not expired.
Right, exactly. Right. It comes right from the same producers. Yeah. So you're getting it from a farmer who normally makes food for Wegmans, yeah. But then couldn't sell these particular turnips to Wegmans because Wegmans doesn't like the color, they don't like the shape. There's something wrong with it. But it's perfectly good, perfectly edible, and cheap. Yeah. So a person who's living on a very fixed income, a lot of those people don't have enough money in order to supply their entire food budget for a given year. So if you're looking in the fifth sector, of the voting area in the north side, right. There's usually between a $50 to $100 shortage in their food budgets yeah. per year, which is why they have to go to food pantries and other kinds of things in order to get their food needs met right. during a course of a year. But if they can get food that's high quality food that they can get cheaper yeah. than what they can anywhere else, they're going to go there. Sure. They're going to be able to buy the food and be able to feed their families in a much more affordable way. Right. Expanding the use of their money so that they can afford better transportation, yeah. afford the medicines that they need, and other kinds of food things that, other kinds of things that are necessary for their family to be able to live. And so we're looking at this as being a social purpose grocery store, something that we can say that it's not only helping the council, but it's helping a neighborhood. Yeah. And in a lot of ways, as I think about the theology of the grocery store, it's sharing God's abundance with a community that has been living in scarcity for a long time.
It seems silly to reintroduce our guest because your voice is going to be very familiar to everybody who watches Encounter, but our guest is the Executive Director of the Broome County Council of Churches, Joe Sellepack. We're looking at a social, tell me the term again.
Social purpose grocery store.
Social purpose grocery store. And there is one already in Utica. And Utica and Binghamton demographically are very much on the same plane. So if it worked there, then the assumption is that with a little bit of work, it would
retailoring it and working in partnership with them. Yeah. It's not thinking we're going to do the identical thing to what they did there. Right. But we will be getting the great thing about this is that it gives us another source of food. One of the problems in Binghamton is that we are in the middle of we don't have a lot of producers around here. People we don't have a General Mills, mm-hmm. or yeah. we don't have we have a Frito-Lay, but the kind of food that you get from Frito-Lay isn't something that it's party food. It's food that you want for. Yeah. To put the icing on the cake. It's not necessarily the food that you want to serve on your table every day.
Right.
So, because of those things, we need to begin thinking about sources of food. Well, where does food come from, and how do we get it? And so, the folks up in Utica have relationships with producers, with growers, with food, with those types of people that we would be able to have relationships with, which would get us a high quality food that would be, things that wouldn't be normally sold in a grocery store, but very, very affordable. Yeah. So it gives us an avenue to get into that.
And this is going to be both a benefit to the community, but also you mentioned it'll benefit the council because eventually there would be some profit involved.
So in 3 years,
it's sustainable.
Right. So 3 years after 3 years, we'd be looking at being able to generate a profit of about $130,000 a year, and that food then that profit can get rolled into expanding people's access to emergency food, yeah. or expanding the amount of wheelchair ramps we're able to build, or one of the other things that we've been talking with the Your Bargain Grocer about. They have established teacher resource centers where teachers can go to one of their centers and be able to find stuff for their classroom free. So they could get free paper, pencils, erasers, pens, anything that they needed for their classroom. And they've been able to work out, again, because they're dealing with national producers, they've been able to work out really good deals with Lego, with other places that they've produced, Mead, other places where they've been able to find the different types of of things that are necessary for a teacher's classroom.
Right.
So they've been able to work these things out. We would be able to piggyback on that relationship, get that in, and then start all these. We would love to start in the same way that we have chow pantries. Be able to set up teacher resource centers and congregations around Broome County that have relationships with schools.
And Broome County Council of Churches is already doing job training.
Right.
So that's another, certainly that would contribute to the building of the store.
Yeah, last year we were able to, because of our relationship with the Department of Social Services here, we've been able to expand our job training program. So next year we're going to have more people involved in it. We're giving people access to certifications for forklift operation, for food safety and handling, for OSHA requirements, and other kinds of things like that. They've been able to build on their resume.
Yeah.
And this gives us another avenue for doing that. So if this comes to pass, when we're still in the middle of talking about this, and I don't want to get out too far ahead of it because there's a lot of moving parts that are involved in it, and I don't like it when you get it's far enough down the road that I think it's going to happen. So I'm talking about it now, but yeah.
We're not ready to put a picture in the paper. Of what
I'm not putting a picture on the paper what it's going to look like, and I'm not making any promises on behalf of any of the partners that are involved in the discussion. So this is my little disclaimer, the fine print on the bottom of the
That's right.
Of the article.
I see the asterisk right
it's
there
right
next to the light bulb.
It's going behind my head, right? It's like
you got a light bulb on one side.
Ambient commercial or something like that.
Careful.
Yeah.
When we look though at, once again, you talked about in seminary, these were not things that we talked about, but the church's consciousness, not just the church, but the whole faith community, the consciousness about loving your neighbor, and when did we see you hungry? Back when I was teaching video, we made 2 videos, one called When Did We See You Hungry, which was about hunger action enablers, we called them back in the Presbyterian Church. And we followed this Presbyterian staff person from an elder community to a neighborhood feeding program to something similar to what Chow does in food collection. And then we did another one called Stones for Bread, who, when you asked for bread, would be given a stone. And that one was more statewide. So we were beginning now to look at food. In fact, I remember writing the script and saying, the right to food. And a very good friend of mine said, I don't think technically food is a right. But it sure seems like it is when you think about the ministry of Jesus and feeding the hungry.
Well, I mean, the whole idea of gleaning within Scripture.
Yes.
Where you would when you would plant a field and you would have to leave the margins of the field there for your hungry neighbor to be able to find food.
Yeah.
That idea is so prevalent in Scripture. And then you have the commands for hospitality to offer hospitality to strangers. The idea, even in Exodus, when they have to remember that at one point they were slaves in Egypt.
Yeah.
The idea that beyond that, and then if you're to follow the trajectory through Scripture, Hebrews tells us, whenever you offer hospitality to someone, you're offering hospitality to angels without knowing it.
Yeah.
The idea that hospitality and the way that our food is distributed and given to people is a reflection on our faith. And without,
Our guest has been Joe Sellepack. It's a delight to cut you off. And to thank you for joining us for this program called Encounter. We've been talking about social, what's the name of the
purpose
store?
grocery stores.
Social purpose grocery stores. I'm Jeff Kellam, hoping that you'll be with us again next week on Encounter. And in the meantime, hoping also that you'll be gentle with people and with yourself.